that time. Sometimes I say how you can become revolutionary.
Picking up the phone or sending that message.
Welcome back to the BeREVELutionary podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Perry. This is the podcast where we interview realtors, business owners. We try to find out what is inspiring them, what motivates them, and how they became revolutionary. I switched it up that time. Sometimes I say how you can become revolutionary, but this time I said how they became revolutionary.
Mm-hmm.
My guest here today, Cynthia Ostos.
Yes.
I said it right, like
you did.
That was
All
like
good.
first time, and then we camera rolls, and anyways. So welcome to the show. Thank you very much. Coming all the way from Mississauga, Streetsville,
Georgetown and Mississauga.
Okay.
Yes.
I know that, but where your office is Streetsville, though.
Yes,
right?
correct.
Right. Okay. Beautiful little strip there.
Love it.
Right.
Gorgeous.
How long have you guys been there?
We've been in Streetsville since 2018, so quite a while.
2018. Mm-hmm. And how long have you been in business then?
Since 2010. Long time.
That is a long time. So You've seen a few markets.
I have.
Right? So even I started in, we talked about this the other day, 2016, but like December. Like it was like November 27th when I finally got my license. And then it took 2 weeks for RICO. So anyways, in that short amount of time, we saw the tail end of the 2017 market, the dead zone, 2018, 2019, and then COVID, and then whatever the heck you call this thing that we're in now. How is it in Mississauga or Georgetown, Milton, sorry?
Mississauga.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Georgetown is where I live.
Oh, that's where you live.
Yes,
okay. But you sell there too, I would imagine, right? You don't sell in Georgetown?
No, I just moved there like a year ago, and I'm enjoying just like being a nobody.
Like a celebrity, right? I guess.
It's just private. It's quiet.
Yeah.
Like, we kind of moved from busy Mississauga to quiet Georgetown. So.
Okay, so that's my fault. I should have been more specific. How is it in your market where you're working?
I mean, to be honest, for me, I'm so blessed. I've been in the real estate game now 12 years. So I have a lot of past clients. I have a business that's just always busy. It's just never, yes, this year's a little slower.
Yeah.
Because we came out of such a crazy time, but it's always great. Like people are always buying and selling. I mean,
that's right. Yeah. It's true. It's
whatever
just that
the market.
frequency is just maybe not what we would have hope for. But you're right. Like after like such a crazy market, you get used to like just being like, and then out of nowhere it's like slowed down. So, okay. So I do remember one thing, because you're like, does Andrew know anything about me? And I do remember one thing, and I really hope it was you, or else I'm going to look like a jerk. But you was it in the airline industry?
Yes, not airline, but airport.
Yes. Okay, yeah. So that was your past career. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I worked for 10 years in uniform for the CBSA. So I was a customs officer in my previous life. Yes, 10 years of that.
And what does that entail? I've gone through customs. I know what it is, obviously, but like I always like get super nervous. I'm like, even if I'm like not doing anything bad, which why would you be doing anything bad at the customs office? But like it's like, how do you train for? I don't understand, because are you like, is there a regulation for it? Is it like cops are cops, customs are? Because my aunt works at the border, but she's not like a customs officer or anything.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously things have changed. I think I got hired back in like 2001. So it's a long time ago. Yeah. But back then, you would write exams, you'd have to get a certain mark. And then eventually once you become full-time, they send you to not a police college, but like a customs college. So
but is it like a badge and stuff? You know what I'm saying? Like, is there
everything.
Like an authoritative?
Now they have guns. Yeah, it's like,
Oh, geez.
It's very different from when I first started.
Right. So what would that level of discipline be, and does it translate into your real estate business?
I mean, I think there are so many transferable skills. Like people are always like, wow, such a shift, customs to real estate. And I'm like, I mean, yes, it's a different, let's say, type of business, right?
Yeah.
But I was still dealing with, everyday people, thousands and thousands of people, thousands of questions, thousands of interviews, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
searching people, trying to find out the truth, like trying to, get the story, so to speak,
Yeah.
qualify people, if you
Right.
will.
Exactly.
So it's very relatable. Like,
I agree.
yeah.
Now, and just like, it doesn't have much to do with what we're going to be talking about, but it's like, do you have any stories?
Oh my God, I have so many, but
Is there?
it's an oath we take. We
Oh,
can't,
is it? Okay, I didn't know that. Interesting. Or else I wouldn't have asked. I would have respected the oath. I have a lot of my family members are police officers, firefighters, anyways, and teachers. All my family works for the government. What's going on?
and then
So,
there's you in real estate.
yeah. Oh,
There
yeah.
you go.
Not looking back. Not joining the government anytime soon, anyways. So then when did you leave being working with the customs, and then kind of how did you transition to real estate? Was it from customs to real estate?
Yeah, it was like around 2010, around that time
Right.
I was always very goal oriented. So it got to a point where I was like, you know what? What else is next for me? I'd been there 10 years. I just decided to see what else I could, get
Yeah.
into. And I had an investment property at the time. And I said, let me get my real estate license to understand this side of things better. And I mean, as soon as I got licensed, so November 2010, it was
Yeah.
on my 30th birthday. There you go. I'm dating myself. But it was an amazing, I remember the day like it was incredible. And that first month being licensed, I sold 3 properties. So it's
Oh,
not your
wow.
average start to a real estate
Right.
career. But it was incredible, and I just was in love. Like I was
Hmm.
like, this is my calling,
So where do those 3 deals come from?
my sphere of influence.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is that something that you recommend for your
Oh my God.
realtors to
Yes.
kind of pay attention to?
100%.
What's a
They're
good exercise to kind of, help get into that way of massaging those fears?
just reaching out and talking to people. Like real estate is not hard. It's hard to do the consistent activity, which is talking to people and seeing if there's a problem you can help them solve, right? So it's just picking up the phone or sending that message.
Yeah.
Not everybody needs you, but just letting them know, like, hey, I'm in real estate. What's your story? How can I help you? Right?
Hmm.
Like it's conversations, right? Like it's
And it's so weird. Regardless if it's new leads or if it's old leads or if it's your existing database or family friends or whatever, it's amazing how agents feel, oh, I don't want to call them. And you're like,
yes.
well, why? Well, I don't want to bother them. Well, what do you mean bother them? I mean, let's just put it, if it's a new lead, I always say this. I say, okay, imagine a new lead walks into Starbucks and they're just like, excuse me, can I have a pumpkin spice latte? Or, excuse me, I saw you have a new thing out. It's orange. I don't really know what it's called. And
That sounds like me walking into
me
Starbucks.
too,
Yeah.
me too. Anyway, so if you just stood there and didn't answer their requests, that would be a really weird situation to be in, right? So now, why wouldn't you call and help the people who are inquiring to the ads, right? So we give them the leads and they get nervous about it. And I just say, stop thinking about it from you're bothering them. For one, there's a reason why you have their information, and start thinking of it from a place of value.
I
Like,
know.
not how can I help or how can I sell this particular house to you, but how can I answer any questions that you have in regards to real estate?
Yeah, the problem is it's mindset. And like
Mhm.
what you just said, it's like if your mindset is I'm bothering people, whether it's your sphere, someone you're door knocking, like if that's your mindset
Yeah.
going into it, well, it's very hard to change that. And I think like I've always come from a place of like curiosity, right? Like, I want to know about this person. What's their story? Like, do they rent? Do they own? And even if they don't need me at all, I'm still like, oh, hey, who are you? Right? Like,
Mhm.
where I think a lot of people, they're just like so paralyzed in fear to do those things, to ask those questions.
And what about What about like their own friends and family? I mean, that's the one thing that I don't get because that is just a
Oh my
simple
God, that's
conversation.
I wish. My family, I have no family here. Like, people like start in real estate, like, oh, my cousins, my uncles, like I have nobody. It's just our family. That's it.
Right.
Everybody's overseas.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Where?
In Colombia.
In Colombia.
Yes.
Did I know that?
I don't know.
I thought
It's
I
yeah,
thought like I thought your last name was like Greek.
Greek. Yeah. I get that a
Do
lot
you?
too. Yeah.
Okay. See, because we got a place in Costa Rica, so like you speak Spanish, right?
Yes. I was like, oh God, what's he gonna say?
So like,
Yes, it's
and like
Spanish.
Spanish is just like because I'm using Duolingo.
Nice.
If you've ever heard of that
Yes, I
app,
have, yeah.
okay, do you know how to speak Spanish?
I do.
Okay,
Fluent.
good.
Yeah.
So I'm learning that. I'm like, this is a great
It is.
language.
It's
I'm like, this
amazing.
is beautiful. And then I'm so excited. I was doing like 2 months of it, and I went to Costa Rica. I'm like, what?
¿Quieres
There's
hablar en español?
they speak so fast. I'm like, what? Because the app
I
is
just asked
like,
him if he wants to talk in Spanish.
no,
I
I
don't know if you
can't.
caught
No,
that.
no, no. I gave up for now until I have time to really focus. Like, hombre, or something. That's like a
What
mix
can
of
you say?
French.
Let's hear some of it.
I don't know. I think that was it.
You said
Hombre,
two hombre. That's it? Okay.
agua.
¿Quieres tomar agua? Okay.
So like,
Aquí
I don't
está.
really know. But what I mean is that is like, it's such a beautiful language.
It
And
is.
that's so crazy that nobody's over here. So how did that happen? Did you come over here?
No, my parents, they're immigrants, and yeah, there was all my uncles, my aunts, my cousins, everybody's in Colombia.
Ah.
Yeah, so I didn't have a family that I could call on. That's why it's like when you see people with family and cousins, and it's like it should be easy to talk to them. But I do find most new agents, they are very scared to reach out to their sphere because I have a team and I see it when, new agents join. They're like, oh, my sphere's not, they're not doing anything. And I'm like, yes, they are.
And you know what I've learned at a very early stage is that it doesn't matter where your soon to be clients, family or friends live. Like I grew up in Barrie. I moved to Niagara. I know zero people, zero. And I was able to build the business that I have now. But a lot of it at the beginning, about 60% of it was from other agents, so referrals, but also referrals from people and people in Barrie were calling me, Andrew, how do I get involved? I'm looking to buy my first house. And so that's another thing too, is that there's still other opportunities to get your feet wet in your first year. So anyways, you mentioned you have a team. When did you start your team? You started in 2010 and then the team.
So about 6 years in, I ended up leaving. I was with the big brand Remax at the beginning. And then I ended up going to Keller Williams, and Keller Williams really, they talked a lot about team building, having an assistant and all of that. I'd never really heard much about that until then in my career. And that was when I was like, you know what? I'm so busy. Like, there's no way that I can just do this like as a one woman show.
I will hand it to KW is the first time that I heard, and again, I was with Royal LePage when I first started too, but when I first heard about teams, like I found like that was one of the only brokerages that was actually teaching like how to hire admin, how like the business aspects. But then again, comes from Millionaire Real Estate Playbook, right? So, and then then when Revel came, and it was just so different because it was like one big team. Like Revel, when we first started, like it was. They started with 4 agents. When I came on board, I think they had just signed 25 or 50 in and around there. And everybody was like one big team. So you didn't necessarily, if you want to start a team, you start a team, but you didn't necessarily need that because there was mentors there. There was people who, specialize in all these different aspects. And it was really interesting to be able to be a part of that, especially from the beginning and, to try to foster that over 300 agents in 21 office. I'm surprised we've still been managed to do that, which is, if I'm being honest, because it's really difficult to, foster that team environment over so many different markets.
Yeah.
So, you started your team. Did you hire your admin first? What does that look like for you?
First, it was a part-time admin.
Yep.
And then that turned to full-time. And then I brought on a buyer agent. And then that was when I got out of the buyer agent side and then focused on listings up until now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when did you get your own office, and did you think that that was something that was, of course it was needed, but do you think that, kind of helped elevate your business?
hmm I had multiple offices within Keller Williams when we were there. Like we were
Oh,
like in
okay.
a smaller office, then we went to a bigger one, and we were just outgrowing the space. And then I was like, you know what? I want my own office. And that was when Streetsville happened, and that was
Nice.
2018. Yeah. So, like having my own office, obviously, it's like a dream come true. Like you have your offices,
Yeah.
right? So it's like when you
It's
see
good to have
that,
your own
it's,
space.
yeah, it just feels like amazing.
So
But
then,
then COVID happened.
right. But then, so yeah, talk about that. So what
Yeah, so
happened?
like we were in a bigger space in
Yes.
Streetsville. It was 1,500 square feet. It was beautiful, like great office. And it just, COVID was like everyone's remote now. I didn't really need the space
Hmm.
anymore that big. I was like, my lease is coming up. I saw another opportunity in Streetsville, a beautiful storefront, which
Yes.
is where we are now.
Yep.
So I grabbed that like right away, same day. I was like, typical realtor. I was like, hi, can I put an offer? I was like, this is it.
Yeah.
And I told my admins and my team, I was like, hey, guess what? We're moving. And everyone
Yeah.
was like, what? So yeah,
I love that space too. It's so well done. You know what I mean?
it's cute, small,
It's
it's
cute.
perfect.
Yeah. So when did Revel come into the picture, and how did that, yeah, how did that come to be for you? How did you
hmm
hear about us? How did you see it?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. So around the time, so I have a 10-month-old now. I'm trying to think
Yeah.
because I was
I have to
nearing,
gear my life by the age of my children too, because they're both started in
yeah.
COVID, I guess.
It was near the end of my pregnancy. I think I just started feeling like, you know what, I need like a change, right? Like,
Hmm.
and again, some realtors, they're always, I think it's like every 5 years or so, it's like that itch or
Yeah.
something. But it just got to a point where I was like, I feel like I need a change. Like we're stagnant. I don't know. Like something was just telling me. So I kind of started like poking around, seeing what's out there. I didn't want to go to any of the big brands again.
Yeah.
And then I think we saw each other at the Buzz conference.
We did.
And
But
I
then,
didn't even know much about Revel. I knew
yeah,
you're everywhere. So yeah.
because we,
And I messaged you.
yes, and then you messaged me, but we
I
almost
was in
like,
Mexico. I
yeah.
remember yeah.
But we almost did a deal, a referral almost, right?
Oh, yes. Also,
Yes.
yes. That was like referring you business. I knew you were a great agent and good reputation. And then everything else just,
Yeah, kind of fell into
time and
place.
place
So what do you think after our presentation? I mean, what do you think it was that kind of did it for you, I guess?
with Revel.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, the owners of Revel are amazing.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a very family vibe. They're super invested. It's so professional in terms of like everything, right? Like everything's super professional, which
Hmm.
I'm a professional, so I
Yes.
really can appreciate that. I think like it's lacking in our industry, sorry to say.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
so when I saw that, obviously we went to the head office in Niagara, and
Yep.
like all my team was like, wow, like this is incredible. So I felt
Well,
it was the right move for us.
yeah, and it's interesting because because you weren't with Keller when you
No,
made
I
the switch.
left Keller Williams to go to another smaller boutique
Small.
franchise.
And
Yeah.
like people, it's interesting because there are so many opportunities at, like, let's just say, lower split brokerages or no split brokerages.
Yeah.
So what I find interesting is that
Oh yeah, I'm
people,
paying like way more, let's say,
right,
than where I
right, of
was. Yeah.
course, but what drives somebody like me, you, Kate Broderick, Emily Berry? Like, why don't we all go? And since you've been there, like, why wouldn't we all just go to like 100% split
Yeah,
brokerage?
because for me, that's not like, it's not about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sure, it's a factor and something to like ask or think of, let's say, but it's not like the deciding factor. Like
Hmm.
for me, it was like, I'm looking for culture, I'm looking for a family. I also like the fact that Revel has like tons of offices. Like I think we're 21,
Yep.
22 offices now across Southern Ontario. So I was like, this sounds like a great idea because we can all network
Hmm.
together. The head coach concept, right? Like it's just
Yes.
It was the culture that I was looking for, and I'm still new to Revel, but
Yeah.
I'm getting to know more and more of the agents, and they're incredible, right?
Oh,
So
it's just like one big, like I saw Renee from Burlington went over to Brantford and did a workshop with her team, and they were collaborating and doing all that stuff. Fred comes down and from Milton, and he runs a whole bunch of mentorship classes, for people. And it's just one of those things where it's true collaboration. At the Buzz conference, did you go to the Buzz conference?
this last
Yeah.
one, I tried to, but I got stuck doing a
Yeah.
deal.
Oh, just like
Yeah,
in the parking lot when
pretty
we were
much.
before the podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, you got to make it happen. So, on my talk, I was one of the last speakers. Trying to, headline, get everybody hooked, back in. Just joking. Anyways, I was fortunate enough to be able to watch all of the speakers before I went up, and one of the things that I noticed is that everybody, including myself, had used one word multiple times in each presentation, and even on the panelists, it was collaboration. Now, so that's interesting to me that so many people want collaboration, do collaboration, but it's very rare to see that within a brokerage, in my experience, anyways. Because I came from a brokerage that it was very difficult to get a hold of the top agents.
Like every man for himself type of
Yeah.
thing.
Oh my gosh, I had lost a deal at the printer when I was talking about it in my first year. So that just would never happen. I mean, we have head coaches that get calls from team members saying, "Hey, I'm looking to make a switch. If you have an opening," and somebody did that to Evan, and Evan was like, "Hey, man, I really like you, but like you're coming from Andrew's team. I'm not. It's a no for me right now. But let me chat with Andrew." Well, you know what I mean? Where in other brokerages you might not have that. You know what I mean? Anyways, and I'm cool with anybody with any decisions they ever want to make, because if you want to make a decision to better yourselves,
Yeah, but I think it comes down to mindset again. Like if your mindset is like, I want to find the cheapest brokerage with the cheapest split, I mean, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And like, I just think we're lucky that, Revel is so amazing. They give so much great support, and, the culture, like it's not even a thing, right?
Well,
Like
and I think you said
thinking
the
of all of
word
that.
invested. And what, we've done at Revel is that we have not only invested financially, but, a lot of time investing in researching into new technologies, new innovative ways to encourage people to get out there and brand themselves. So revelmedia.ca, which is only for our realtors, by the way, so don't go and try to book our discounted photography sessions. But it's one of those systems that we implemented to help people who wanted to get themselves out there in terms of branding.
Yes, and I also want to give a shout out to John.
John, we got to
He's
give
my
a shout out
brother
to John.
from another mother,
He
because we
helps
have the
so
same
much.
last name, my married name.
Yeah.
But anyhow, he's amazing. Like he's so positive and helpful, and like that's a big hole I think in our industry is marketing, right? Like someone to
He's just so good at it.
he's great.
He's so good at it.
Yeah.
So what that whole, and the reason why we did it, by the way, is because it started with Revel. If you had a listing, you had to have a professional photographer.
Yeah, they have
Right?
really great standards.
Exactly.
Yes.
And what I was finding is people in their first year were like, getting charged $600, $800 to do a video shoot. And they're like, well, I don't have that type of money, so I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, even if you don't do it, you're not going to grow. And then it developed into, CRM and website. If you don't have this, you're not going to grow. If you don't have our new marketing systems that every list, did you hear about this? So this is brand new. Not even sure if I'm allowed to talk about it. It was on the head coach meeting, by the way. So you probably do know. It's a new program where automatically your listings get put in a global distribution center that goes to Globe and Mail, Mansions, everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So in your listing presentation, if you can't win a listing presentation after those types of tools, we'll go back and work on scripts and dialogues or one of the Revel Ed classes. So it's just one of those things, like we're constantly adding new things to help people out.
Yeah.
And it's not just, hey, let's try to negotiate our commission down so we can pocket more money. It's like, no, let's try to make you a better realtor and a better business person,
Yeah, I love
better
that.
marketer, so that you can make more.
I love that.
So, okay, now you've got a team and you've joined Revel. What was kind of the experience on the onboarding? I know it's really tough, because there might be people out there who's listening or watching that's saying, okay, I got a team and an entire office, an entire ecosystem. How do I transfer that to another brokerage?
I mean, there's still so much support, like the managers and like everybody's just always reaching out. Like it was great. It was pretty seamless, I would say. Sure, there was like some listings that had to get like transferred and stuff with Treb and
that's even if you
but
just
you
go
know what,
yourself.
like a lot of support and like Nikki's always available. Like there's always someone that you can reach. Like everybody's I just can't say enough praises.
Well, what I love about it is that like as we grow, like Paula was our front desk admin, and now she's our director of onboarding. Because with a company that's in its infancy, there's so much room to grow and so many positions to fulfill. Like I basically created the role of director of recruitment. I was like, hey, you need somebody who's centralized, who understands the brokerage, knows the growth, knows the opportunities, knows everything about it, so that you can pitch it consistently.
Yeah.
And they're like, so why don't you do it then? I'm like, okay, I will. Good. Great. Wait, was this my idea or your idea? Anyways, and what I like about it as well is that, so for somebody like you, if you wanted to, or head coaches, if you wanted to open another office, that is there for you. I don't know if that's your type of goal, but that's my type of goal, where I want to have a third and a fourth and just kind of establish more markets that foster the same culture.
Yeah, no, the opening your own office and being a head coach, like that whole idea, I never even knew was possible.
Yes.
When I had reached out to you, it was kind of like, hey, like, can I just be a Revel agent? But then it was like, oh, I can actually open an office and all of that. So it was great.
It's an interesting concept.
It is very cool.
Yeah. So with your team then, how is it working? Like, I know you've been blessed, as you mentioned, to be in the business a little while, but what kind of advice are you giving your team or office now that times are a little bit slower?
I mean, it's called prospecting. That's your job as a realtor. Like whether you want to door knock, cold call, I don't know, go to Square One or whatever mall and like talk to people, like it's contacts every day, right? There's no secret. Like it's
funny you said that.
I just think it's simple.
Well, when I was with LA Fitness, I stood out front of an IGA or a Foodland. It was Foodland. And what I said was to everybody walking in, I just introduced myself. I said, hey, we're opening up this brand new fitness club just around the corner. Do you mind if I steal 2 minutes of your time? Everybody said, no. Well, you got those few people.
But someone said yes.
That say
it's a numbers
game.
game.
What are you doing?
Yeah,
and I
it's
said,
a numbers game.
Well, thanks so much. Are you currently working out? No. Do you wish you could work out a little bit more? Yeah. I mean, do you have a goal weight or any type of fitness goal? Or, well, as a matter of fact, my doctor said I needed to do this. Okay, great. Well, why don't you meet me at my pre-sale office? And this is before we even had a physical location. Like, it's like new builds. How do you sell something that's you got to find the solutions, which would be investors or appreciation or something like that. So, if somebody can stand out, somebody like me, stand in a town that I don't know anybody and stand in front of an IG or Foodland and just talk to people about fitness goals as they're walking in to get, Thanksgiving dinners. I think anybody could talk about the number one topic at every family dinner, which is real estate.
100%.
Yeah. So, okay. And what about, do you guys do like any of that, like, holiday stuff, like Thanksgiving or like drop-bys? Do you do pies
like
or
pop-bys
anything?
and all that? Yeah. I used to, but the thing is once, if you, to do stuff like that, like I think it's easy when you have like, I don't know, 10, 20, 30, 40 past clients.
Yeah.
And like if you want to do it on a big level, like if you have 500 past clients, like you need the manpower, right? Yeah. So it got to a point where like, yes, I was doing like the Thanksgiving pie drop off and all of that stuff. I'm definitely kind of looking at events and things that I can do on a bigger scale that I can still offer to all of my past clients. Like one time I rented a yacht in the Toronto Harbor.
Yeah.
It was the same boat I think you guys went on for the party, which I had like samba dancers and all of this, but it's like, I can't fit like all my past clients on there anymore. Yeah. I'd need like, 2 or 3 days of that. Right. So, so I love doing events though. I love it.
Yeah. Well, it's true because, my first client event, we had like 50 people show up. Second one, we had like 75. And then the next one, we had like over 150. Excuse me. And then we were like, we weren't sure that we were going to feed everybody. Because all of them, there was like a 25 to 30% no show. And then
That's
like,
the thing, hard to plan.
another 20% that said no. This year, everybody said yes, and basically nobody no-showed. So I was like, but it was fun. It was super fun. So I love being able to do that and connecting with our clients. So do you have like a 5-year plan? I know we were talking when you at the meeting, and like, do you have anything that's up next
Do I
for
have a
you?
5-year plan?
Well, you know what I mean. Like, I think you mentioned that you're thinking about slowing down, or
No,
come on.
not thinking of slowing down. I'm just looking at, the business as a whole to restructure. And I think it's just so exciting because, like, I think the thing is sometimes like you get disappointed, or whether it's like, you have an employee leave or like an agent, there's a lot of turnover with teams sometimes, right? Like, I don't know, maybe you've been blessed, but
No.
real estate is very hard. It's a hard industry. There's lots of highs and lows, right? Like, it's like a roller coaster, right? Like, do you know what I'm talking about? I don't think your average person could handle, what we deal with. So there's all of that. And sometimes there's setbacks, but I think what I'm really good at is like getting back up again and, looking at things and seeing like what's working, what's not. But at the end of the day, like, I have a great business, so I just have to keep
going.
Keep going.
But that's a form of growth in itself, because if you're not paying attention and you're not focusing on, continuing that business, if you're not doing the day-to-day things that you need to stay top of mind with your clients, then it's really difficult to, get them back.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I think I've been really good at keeping in touch with my past clients. Like, if anything, they probably are sick of hearing from me, to be honest. Like, I send birthday cards, home anniversaries, like I'm everywhere like I can be, right? But yeah, I think the challenge with me is I want to do so much, right? And I also have 2 small kids.
That's right.
Right? Which people don't talk about enough. Like, being a team leader, like, having a team, people that depend on me. And then I have my kids, my husband, like, it's a lot to juggle, right?
And how do you juggle it all?
I just do, right? Like, there's no secret. I think, I just multitasking maybe, like, or I don't know.
Well, you asked me before.
How do you do it?
Well, you asked me how I did, and you said, do I time block? I mean, do you?
I time block in my own way. Like, I know what needs to get done, priorities. Like, I used to before I had kids. I love to prospect. Like, I love it. I don't know. I think I'm really weird because most agents, I think, hate it. But I could prospect like all day long if I don't even need to eat. Like, I'm just like call.
Yeah, interesting. I love that.
Yeah. I love every aspect of real estate. Like, I love the paperwork. I love everything,
So,
negotiating.
Do you want to come on my team? Because we could use somebody who likes to hammer the phones. And it's just like
an ISA, yeah. Like,
but you know what? It's like once you start making the first couple of calls, you're like, oh yeah, it's not scary.
No.
You're just making the calls. But I think like how I handle it is that, every style of, so our coach, breaks it down into like money making activities, this, that. And I kind of follow that schedule, but like Tuesdays are team days. I don't book anything before 1:00 on those days. And then, mornings are usually for me, and I book off my exercise, which is usually 12 to 1 p.m. I haven't done a lot of it this month yet because it's hockey.
Right. Well,
and
that's
my team is like, oh, you're going to play hockey in the middle of the day? Yeah, I am. But it's just, we've been so busy. When you got so many listings and they're not selling, you got to kind of adjust your schedule. But yeah, so I set aside my workout time. I set aside my, self-improvement time, which is usually around 6 a.m. And then I set aside my team, which is Tuesdays. And then I set aside 1 or 2 days a week, which I know sounds like a lot, for media and marketing. And because I find that if I don't do the media and marketing, if that starts to slip, then you start to lose that momentum, and you know, you're not tough of mind anymore, and other people are. It's so competitive out there right now online, right?
But I was talking with you about agents friends of mine that are doing well, like top agents, and they're like, I'm not on Instagram, I'm not on social media, like you don't really need that. And I'm just like, you know, do you? Like, but I believe you do. Like 10 years from now, like if now Instagram is what it is, imagine 10 years from now. I don't know if it'll be something else, right? Like
but
TikTok,
that's the thing,
like came out of nowhere.
Ryan wasn't like crazy. His account was private for a long time. And it you know, it's not like he was like trying to, I don't even think he knew how to work it, to be honest with you. But now, and like over the last 4 years, Ryan has been able to, you know, have people help him in terms of discovering his brand. Because Ryan was very humble. Ryan was very, I wouldn't say timid, because he's not a timid guy at all, but he didn't want to be the face. He didn't want to go out there. And, you know, I think
I have those challenges, to be
right.
honest.
And,
Like,
and I think you just have to see somebody do it. Like he saw me doing it. He's like, well, okay, if Andrew can do it, and I talk about the brand, me who started the brand, Ryan, could go out there too. And so like, he's just been doing a phenomenal job. So I think to an extent, yeah, okay, could people sell 1,000 houses a year and not be on Facebook or Instagram? Yeah, sure. But what that does is that it allows the new people to take a piece of that market share in mind share and double down, take more and more and more and more and more, until next thing you know, the people who don't have Facebook or Instagram, they can't sell because they're not, I'm now selling to your clients' kids and grandkids. So it's interesting to think about, but now you're doing more. And you're looking at getting, you know, out there more in the future too, right?
Yes. Yep. I think marketing is huge. Like we're doing reels now for all of our listings, right? Like I'm not even lying when I say we called, I don't know how many different companies, and they were like, no, we don't do reels. And I'm like, how is this possible?
How is that possible?
Right? So
like all you need to do at the very minimum is shoot it in a high enough, Sam's going to kill me because I'm going to screw this up, in a high enough resolution, like in 4K, and then you just cut it.
But like everyone's doing reels now. So it's like, we want to do what is trending, right? And I was like, okay, for our sellers, like, let's do fun reels where like all my team is in the video. We're all there doing different things. Like people like seeing people they know in the video and the house too. So that's what we're doing now.
Well, I love it. That's good. And I'm glad that you're getting out there, you know, and leveraging Streetsville. It's so beautiful too, right? So my piece of advice is for anybody getting started with reels is that, you know, pick a few of your favorite businesses and just go and buy a product. I mean, really, you don't necessarily have to ask them. I mean, obviously, I'm sure they would appreciate it if you did. And then that way you can also have them tagged and then they can share it. You just go up, buy a product, and videotape you going in, get the sign, get the product, come out, eat it, drink it, review it, tag them.
Yes. And can I give a piece of advice? So
yes,
my piece of advice is
yes, of course.
For realtors that sit at home, they do reels like that, but they're not making any calls or they're not prospecting, but they're like, oh, but I'm going to do this reel in this bakery. And it's like, okay, but have you made any calls to actually book appointments or talk to any, you know, potential buyers or sellers?
Yeah.
Like I just see people that, you know, I'm like watching them on Instagram and I'm like, you don't even do much business. Like, I don't understand. Like,
that's
but it's
true.
like,
That's
you know,
true.
but you would think when you look at their social media that they're busy, but are they?
Right.
And where are you spending your time? Because if you're not getting leads from that and you have 0 deals in the pipeline, maybe you should do a little more prospecting and phone calls.
I like to call that back to basics.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what? This has been great. Thank you very much for coming on. You already gave your one piece of advice. That's great. So I don't even have to ask that question. It's like you knew. But where can everybody find you? If somebody was listening to this and they're like, you know, like, is it possible to join your team? Is it possible to join the office? Yeah.
We're selective for sure. Culture is super important. Yes. But you know, like I just value people that want to work hard, right? Like there's no easy street here. Like that's not
no easy street on Streetsville.
Yes, we're always interviewing and we're in Streetsville, Cynthia Ostos Team. So yeah.
Okay. That's great. Well, thank you everybody. We'll see you next time.